Hey guys, this video will contain spoilers for Arc 4, Arc 5 and Arc 6, so do keep that in mind when you watch the video. It's not a secret that in ReZero that Emilia's past and her family is being kept a secret by Tappy, and we don't really know much about her family, such as who her mother is or who her father is. However, what if I told you that I believe I've worked out exactly who Emilia's mother is, and I'll go over how you can work it out in this video. There is one elephant in the room, and that is actually Emilia's age. As we know, Emilia is 115. However, what if I told you she's most likely a lot older than that, and she's in fact 400 years old, or close to 400 years old? The reason for this is because Puck was searching for Emilia for 3 centuries, which is 300 years. And then of course he had to wait 100 years for Emilia to unfreeze. Now we know Echidna created Puck, and his sole purpose was to watch Emilia from a distance, and that was his sort of role. Now of course most of you have spotted why that doesn't really make sense. How can Puck be looking for Emilia for 300 years when she isn't even born yet? That doesn't make sense at all. It implies that Emilia existed 400 years ago when Puck was created, because that was his role, to watch Emilia. Moving on from this, we can use what we learn from the light novel, web novel and question and answers to answer questions about Emilia's family. We learn from Fortuna that Emilia's father had silver hair and amethyst eyes, and that's the reason why she has those characteristics as well. We also learn from Fortuna that she is a full elf, which means her brother is also a full elf. What this means is that Emilia's mother would have to be a human to have a half-elf child. We also learn that Emilia's gentle face comes from her mother. Emilia gets called a witch's daughter by Pandora, so that means that Emilia's mother was also a witch, and also a human at the same time. If we were to then take all this information and compose it in a sort of family tree, this is what we will get. As we stated, Emilia's mother has a gentle face, must be human, and is also a witch, whereas Emilia's father has amethyst eyes, silver hair, and is a full elf, which results in Emilia being a half-elf. However, we can walk forward with this theory by looking at what Echidna stated. We know that Echidna gets emotional around Emilia because she personally knew Emilia's mother. Tappy has actually confirmed that there were witches before the main 7 witches. However, I do not believe Echidna knew any of them. In fact, Tappy has confirmed that Echidna has opened her heart to the main 7 witches, including Satella. So if Emilia's mother was one of these witches, it would be among the 7 that we know. So yes, I am saying that Emilia's mother is one of the 7 witches we meet in Season 2 Core 1 of the anime. So let's start knocking them out one by one. Let's start with Carmilla, the Witch of Lust. Luckily, it's easy to cross her off the list because we have a question and answer from Tappy himself. This question and answer confirms that Carmilla is in fact a virgin. As a result of that, she is not Emilia's mother. I'm pretty sure you guys know how babies are made, and you're not like Emilia that believes kissing makes babies. The next person we can cross off the list is Typhon, the Witch of Pride. I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain why she can't be the mother, and I'm not going to put a FBI open up meme over here, so yeah. The next person we can cross off the list is in fact Daphne, the Witch of Gluttony, and the reason for that is because Tappy has actually answered a question and answer stating that Daphne doesn't care about people, and so therefore I don't feel like Daphne would fall in love. On top of that, due to her immense hunger, I wouldn't be surprised if she ate her baby. So yeah, I don't really think she's the mother of Emilia. Now of course, Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth, could be a prime candidate. However, there's one issue about this. During Sekhmet's Book of the Dead in Arc 6, there's a heavy emphasis on race and the fact that the woman was killing people of her race, and that the clan had the same blood and they were distantly larger than her when it came to body size. And on top of that, Sekhmet is actually really big in size as well. Tappei has stated that excluding Satella, not all of the witches we know are human, and as we stated before, Emilia's mother must be human. It's obvious from the Book of the Dead that there's a large emphasis on race, especially when it talks about the fact that Sekhmet was supposed to be the second coming of a god, which directly parallels Ram and the Oni clan. So it implies that Sekhmet is not human and is in fact a different race, and due to the mentions of body size, it's implied that Sekhmet might actually be a giant or half giant. So let's move on and talk about Echidna, the Witch of Greed. Could she possibly be Emilia's mother, and that's the reason why she acts so weird around her? Well, not exactly, because the author has stated that Echidna has 0 children, so I guess that solves the mystery. However, there is actually an explanation for this. You see, that question and answer was about Echidna, which is most likely the Echidna that's in the tomb that Subaru speaks to. There is actually a second Echidna, which is of course liberated from the sanctuary when Emilia completes the trials. Now you might think that they're just the same person, however, Tappei has confirmed that he considers them to be different and separate people. So that means both can be true at once. The Echidna in the tea party may not have had a child, but the Echidna in the grave might have had a child, and that child could have been Emilia. And if you were to look at other information, for example, did you know that Emilia Tan is tone deaf, which means she can't really sing? Do you want to guess who else is also tone deaf? Well, if you guessed Echidna, then you'd be correct. Echidna is also tone deaf, just like Emilia. Do you want to know what Echidna's favorite color is? If you guess silver, which is the exact same color as Emilia's hair color, then yeah, it looks like Echidna might be Emilia's mother, but maybe there's a better witch out there. And that is of course Satella. What if Satella is actually Emilia's mum? I mean, if we were to look on the ReZero theory iceberg, right there is the theory. Satella equals Emilia's mum. Well, luckily this is really easy to debunk with basic biology. Because if we look at our characteristics, Emilia's mother must be human and Satella is a half elf. Because if you had a half elf and a full elf have a child, the child would be 3/4 elf, 1/4 human. And we know Emilia is a half elf. So that theory is debunked. So you get a 2-for-1 in this video. The final witch is actually Minerva, the Witch of Wrath. So is she Emilia's mother? Well, let's actually look at the evidence. Minerva was the only witch with a history with the elves, and Minerva tried to save them when they were acting as a suicide squad. Of course, this was a trap which ended up with Minerva dying at the end of it. And where are the elves located? Well, they're located in Elia Forest, which is where Emilia was born and raised and stayed her whole life. I also mentioned before how Echidna acted weird around Emilia due to knowing Emilia's mother. Do you want to know which witch Echidna actually got on best with? Well, that was actually Minerva, the Witch of Wrath. I also mentioned before that Echidna was tone deaf. Well, do you know who's even more tone deaf than Echidna, who's actually tone deaf? Well, if you look at the list, it's actually Minerva, who's the worst when it comes to singing, just like Emilia. Who is the one witch with no rhyme or reason would try and help you no matter what? Well, that's Minerva, the Witch of Wrath. Does that remind you of anyone else who would go out of their way to help you no matter what? Well, yeah, Emilia. It doesn't matter who you are, she will do the right thing to help you. In the web novel, when Emilia conquers the trials, she speaks to Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth. However, this is changed in the light novel. Do you want to guess what witch it's changed to? If you guessed Minerva, the Witch of Wrath, then you are correct. And if we look at the prestigious ReZero theory iceberg, there we see it. Minerva equals Emilia's mother. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you're wondering why Pandora's in the thumbnail, is because I was going to include her in the video, but I realized there's no point because there's no way Pandora is Emilia's mother. So yeah, there's a fun fact for you. Anyways, thank you for watching.